Hey folks, it's time for your Writer Wednesday tip again, and I know I've been absent for the last couple of weeks because I've had a lot going on in my life as of late, particularly just random personal things. Nothing special, but it's interfered with a lot of different things going on in terms of the ability to write and whatnot. Some of you may know I'm pursuing my driver's license, and I haven't, up until recently, haven't been behind the wheel of a vehicle in 6 years or more. So it's kind of a learning curve again, and then of course you guys know I've had company and RT and Frolicon and all that other stuff. So, we're back at it though. So this will resume, and if I can't make one, I'll, for 1 week and I have to skip a week, I'll put it up there again as to when it happens, as opposed to 2 weeks after the first one's missing. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is your actual weekly writing tip. And this is an easy one for a lot of us, but we don't necessarily view it in the same manner as we should. And the reason being is because honestly, it's so simple that the adult brain doesn't want to do it. It's like learning a language in the traditional manner. I say, the proper way to say I want you is yo te quiero. All you gotta do if you want to tell someone you want them is say yo te quiero. But the adult mind goes, what? Yo te quiero. No, roll your R. Anyway, enough of that. Point is simplicity. I should get rid of that. The way that I've always viewed writing is that it's like your mind is like a well. And every year or every period of time, you have a certain number of words in the well. It's like the water in this glass, the lime water in the glass. And so you write the words on the page, and you get your novel out, and you polish it up, and you send it off, and it gets accepted or it doesn't, and then you do it again, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And then after 4 or 5 novels, depending on the word length, you start to have trouble getting the words on the page. And the reason I psychologically tell myself is because I'm out of words. Well, what's that mean? You can't be out of words. It's words. It's your mind. You're not dead yet, are you? Well, sometimes. So you write that first novel. Let's say it's 100,000 words. What happens? Watch. Less water on the glass now. You do it again. Let's say the second novel is, let's put this here, 55,000 words, basically trade paperback. And you do the third novel, and it's a little harder to get the words out. Now, I personally think each human being has about 500,000 words a year in terms of novel content. Short stories are a little different, but even though, because the process is slightly different. But the problem is the same, and the cure is the same. And all you gotta do is pick up your smartphone or your Kindle, or if you still are one of those dinosaurs who prefers print. I should really stop taking shots at people who still prefers print. Then read your favorite genres, your favorite authors, discover some new authors. I've got 60 plus titles out there, hint, hint. There are a plethora of new and engaging authors on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram that are all dying for someone to hear their voice. And while I don't generally believe in shit-talking authors unless the behavior is really, really awful, I do believe in some authors are just not for me. I have gotten rid of a number of authors on my Kindle because I didn't realize when I picked up the book that they were young adult, and I read one. And I read it because the story was engaging, but the reality of it is I can't relate to an 18-year-old male. I mean, certain aspects, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. But I don't feel that the way that I relate in romance to a heroine who's close to my age, or even 10 years younger, I can't relate to an 18-year-old female. Never could. So I got rid of a bunch of YA. I didn't know why I picked. Oh, it's free. That's why I picked it up. But other authors, other readers who like that sort of stuff and who can relate, love it. So those authors will do very well with that audience. But my point still stands. You pick up your books and you read. Now here's the catch. So when you start reading, initially what's going to happen, and let me fix this. Sorry folks, I've literally had no air conditioning for about a week and a half, and we're going to go on 2 weeks before management comes and fixes it. That's another story. But anyway, so what happens when you pick up that book and you're trying, and you tell yourself, okay, I've got to restock the well, this is work. So your mind reads through the sentences on the story that really what you should be doing is just enjoying. Not wasting your time with trying to break down the sentence structure and pay attention to the way it was constructed and the character development or any of that. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my advertisers or potential advertisers happy by not complaining about Windows 10. So read the book, read the story, enjoy it. And here's a little mind hack that you can use. Remember that I talk about on occasion the fact that people who go to their 9 to 5 and they come home and they're unhappy, they're getting paid, but I mean, why? You and I, as far as authors, we're getting paid to do two things, and we love them both. We get to write books, we get to read books. How cool is that? Oh, and they get to give us money for paying for them, and if we make a lot of money, then all the books we pick up are a tax credit or tax write-off. Do talk to your accountant about this first. It's research, competition, and all that. But we get to get paid enjoying, so we might as well enjoy. It only makes sense. Other thing that can help you with the writer's block that doesn't exist is watching movies. It's a different visual feel, or different appeal to your mind, I should say, when you're watching a movie, because the actual appeal is cerebral, more or less left brain, and that's where you're going to pick up a lot of your how the character moves. I talk a lot about never ever ever using dialogue tags. Morgan broke me of that 15 years ago, and I do consider writers who use dialogue tags still very amateur. It's unnecessary for two reasons. Number one, the mind doesn't even see the word said anymore. Number two, the mind stops seeing filler words like whispered or growled or shouted unless the sentence is done properly, and the fix for this we'll talk about in another video. But anyway, when you watch a movie, I mentioned it in the first draft of this video, Lucifer. When he's pissed. Last week's episode, spoiler alert to some extent, sorry, he pissed off Maze. And she went after him and said, look, you know, you can't be doing these kinds of selfish things, you prick. And he said, have a care. And what did you see in the movie? His eyes widened up and got red. His jaw tensed. His lips went back in a snarl. And so you, the writer, take that to your mind and go, okay, well, you're writing a similar scene where something like that happens, and you go, okay, well, here's what happened, and then you have the visual in your mind to put it on the paper or on the page. Boom, you're done. So that's your tip of the week. I was originally going to review a romance novel I just read because, again, words were low and I needed to start over again. But I'm going to save that for next week's video. I think it'll be better, and I think I'll do a better job by the author. So there's that. But I wanted to keep this short and sweet and give you guys an update as to what's going on in my world too. And what's going on in my world is that, aside from me being a little more spastic, I actually began a new project. It's got to do with mafia and Illuminati, sort of, and witches and werewolves, and I'm basically taking a story idea that I had that startled me and woke me up a few months ago, and I'm gonna put it to flesh, or put flesh to pen and paper. So you guys can look out for that. More details on that will be in my Patreon link below. I'm looking for beta readers. I've got 4 or 5 different novels in various stages of editing that I did some work on, but I need someone else right now still. Another couple of years or even faster, that depending on various factors in my life, and I'll go back to giving my work 2 or 3 polishes before I send it off to somebody else. But if you're interested, email, leave a comment, all that jazz. If you like the content here, like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, pass it along, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.